Hi, I'm George Collichio. Today is our second segment on our continuing series on triads. In today's lesson, we will learn first inversion triads on string sets 1 through 3. We will discuss how they are constructed and how they are played on the guitar. So grab your guitar and let's get going. In this lesson, we're going to first talk about first inversion triads. A first inversion triad is when a third of a particular triad is in the lowest note. For our example, we're going to look at all the triads starting with a root note on G. So let's review quickly what a G major scale is. Our G major scale, we start with a G, we have a whole step to an A whole step to a B, half step to a C, a whole step to a D, whole step to an E, another whole step to an F sharp, and a half step to G. So in the key of G major, the notes are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. The scale degree is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we review what our triad formula is, we can start with the major. If you remember from our last video, the major triad is a 1, 3, 5 of the major scale. So a G major triad would be a G, B, and D. But this time we're going to use first inversion. So what we do is we're going to start on the third of that chord in the bass. So the third note in the key of G is B, the fifth note is D, and the first note is G. So first inversion, G major triad, we begin with the B in the bass, B, D, and G. Our next triad, we'll do a G minor triad. We start with the flat third, so we would have a B flat, the 5 would be a D, and again the 1 is a G. For our diminished triad, we'd start with our flat third, so a B flat to a flat 5, D flat to our root of G. Our next one is an augmented. So we would start with the third, B. Now we have a sharp 5, so it would be a D sharp in G. Our next is a sus2. So we start with the second note, which is an A. We go to the fifth note, which is a D, and we go to the first note, which is a G. Our next chord is a sus4. So we'd start with the fourth degree. C, 4, 5 is D, and again the root is G. And our last one is a major flat 5, starting with the third, which is a B, flat to 5. Here's our 5, we flat it, it's a D flat, and we go to the 1. So now let's look and see what they look like on the guitar. So here's our G major. We start with our third. We use our second finger. We go to the fifth, which is a D, and our root, which is a G. So we use our 2, 1, 1. We next go to our G minor. We start with our flat third, 5, and root. So it'd be a B flat, D, and a G. Our diminished, we start with our flat third, we flat the 5, and we go to our root, which is G. And we use fingering 2, 1, 3. Augmented, we have a third, a sharp 5, which is D sharp, and again our root. You'd use fingers 2, 3, and 1. Our next triad would be a G sus2. Here's our second note, our fifth note, and our root. 1, 2, 2. Our next one is a G sus4. So we use our third finger on the 4th degree, which is our C, fifth, which is the D, and our root. We use fingers 3, 1, 1. And for our last triad, we have our third. We use our third finger, our first finger for the flat 5, and our root. We use our second finger. Our first inversion, G major triad. Start with the B in the bass. G minor triad, we have the flat 3, the 5, and the 1. G minor. G diminished, flat 3, flat the 5, and the 1. Augmented, G augmented. We have a B, our D sharp. There's our sharp 5, and our G. G augmented. Next, G sus2. Here's our second note, which is an A. 2, 5, 1. Our next one is a G sus4. The 4th in the bass, just a C, D is the 5, 1 is the root. And our next one is a major flat 5. So here's our third. Here's our flat 5, which is D flat, and our root, G. Okay, so one more time. G major, G minor, G diminished, G augmented, G sus2, G sus4, and G major flat 5. The next triads that we will learn in the series will be second inversion triads. We're going to continue with the string set 1 through 3. And again, like I discussed in the last video, these are all movable from the root. So if this is my G major, that's my G. If I move it up a whole step, it comes an A major. Another whole step, B major, there's my B, C major, D major, and of course, sharps and flats. So if this is my G, I'll move it to here, it's a G flat, my F, or my F sharp. So what you need to do is to do that with every one of those shapes that we worked on. We will see you next time in our next segment on triads.